Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review is brought to you in part by Rogers Hobby Center in Saginaw, Michigan, where the fun begins. This review covers the 1967 Corvette 427 Roadster kit. It's a 125 scale kit from Monogram, number 2968. Now, it's a skill level 2 for the intermediate builder, but most people shouldn't have trouble with it if they've had a few models kits under their belt. Now, 67 was the last year of production for the C2 Corvettes, and many think it was the best year for the C2s. In fact, a lot of people consider the 67 Big Block Vette the most collectible of all time. The kit is molded in 118 pieces in red, clear red, and chrome with nice decals and instructions. It was issued in 95 originally and again in 99. Now, the finished model is about 7 inches long, 2 3/4 inches wide, and just over 2 inches high. Oh, hey, that sounds like Newt. He's got a question behind the glass there. Come on in here, Newt. What's your question today?
I know this is an old car, but I still like the look of it.
Well, that just goes to show you've got good taste. I think there's hope for America's youth after all.
So if they're really collectible, how much are they worth nowadays?
Well, this particular example, if it were all original, is very rare and probably would come in over $1 million. Here are the parts for the kit. As you can see, there's 2 nice chrome trees, some clear glass, and the rest is molded in red. We'll be using probably mostly liquid cement for the construction, sometimes super glue for finicky parts, and occasionally we'll resort to white glue or crystal clear for the window glass. Now, please remember to heed the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines when using any of the products that you hear or see in the review. Here are the decals for the kit, and as you can see, the register is pretty good, color's nice, and there's 4 different colors there that will allow you to match just about any base color with the decals. The hardest ones there to apply would be the circle decals. They go on the tires to provide those red stripes, and you'll probably need some setting solution for those. Construction starts with the basic engine block. As you see, here is most of the pieces, so we'll begin assembling those. And first put the engine halves and the heads and the valve covers together, and then the oil pan and the water pump. Now, the engine assembly there at that point can be painted Chevy engine orange, and the transmission is aluminum. Side covers and the shift arms are steel colored. Now, paint the fan belt pulleys a gloss black with a flat black belt, and the oil filter is black, and the fan clutch is aluminum. And glue the fan after painting the fan gloss black has dried. Now glue that to the fan belt and paint the alternator aluminum and glue that to the fan belt as well. Now glue the whole assembly to the front of the engine and paint the exhaust manifold steel and glue those to the heads. Now paint the intake manifold aluminum and glue the carburetors and distributor cover in place on that. Now the carburetors are light gold, and the gas line is silver with gold fittings, and paint the air filter element on the sides of the air cleaner a flat black, and glue that to the top of the carbs. Now glue this whole assembly to the top of the engine. We'll work on the chassis next and some of the suspension, so grab these parts from the kit and prep them for construction by eliminating any of the sprue mounting tabs or parting lines that you want to get rid of. Now note that the script here for copyright is kind of hidden underneath or in front of the gas tank there, so you may have to use a scraper to scrape that and sand it off if you're going for a contest model. Paint the chassis a flat black and the frame rails a semi-gloss black, and then we're going to paint the rear axle and differential half and the leaf springs, the drive shaft. Those are going to be steel with black trailing arms. So go ahead and assemble the rear suspension, the pumpkin there, and then let that dry And then we're going to add the trailing arms. Like I said, the strut rod locators and spring locators are steel. Now paint the floor and the frame if you haven't already. And the transmission cross brace, that's a gloss black, and the rear shocks could be a light gray color. Now paint the and now assemble, the rear suspension and the shocks to the chassis along with that cross brace after the paint has dried. Now add the upper A arms, the battery, and the steering box into position. Once that's all set, you can install the completed engine. And remember too, you must scrape any paint or glue or chrome off of the pieces in order for them to stick together. So locate the engine mounts and the locations with a little test mock-up test fit there, and then go ahead and place the drive shaft into position into the differential and add the engine to that and onto the motor mounts. So locate these inner fender panels and paint those flat black after you've cleaned up the sprue attachment points and any ejector pin marks you find there. Glue the inner fenders to the chassis, and then after painting the upper A arms gloss black and gluing those into place. Now paint the steering box steel and glue it into place if you haven't already, and the battery is a flat black, so put that into position as well. Get out the firewall and the brake booster parts and paint the firewall flat black and the booster gold with the master cylinder steel with a gold lid. Now glue these together and then install them into the firewall and glue the firewall to the front of the interior tub. Now gather up the parts for the interior that you see here. Paint the floor flat black and then paint the dash, the door panels, seats, and seat backs semi-gloss black. Now paint the steering column flat black and paint the steering wheel spokes aluminum, and the rim is brown. After paint detailing the console with aluminum and chrome paint, glue the shifter in and the parking brake to the floor. Now paint the parking brake handle black. The dash has a good detail molded into it, so paint the instrument cluster flat black. And when dry, use a white pencil to highlight the numbers on the gauges. Then use a small brush or toothpick with a little red paint for the pointers on the gauges. Now paint the glove box door flat black with aluminum panel detail and the door panels with chrome paint. Now detail the sides of the seats with some chrome paint, the clutch and the brake pedals with some flat black, and then glue the seat backs to the seats and glue those to the floor. Now glue the door panels to the interior tub, the clutch, and the brake pedals to the back of the dash. Now install the steering wheel to the column and then glue them both to the dash. And now add the dash to the slots on the side of the interior panels. Locate the parts for the radiator assembly and paint the shroud and the radiator wall flat black. Then paint the radiator a gloss black and glue the parts together. Also note that there's a small section of the radiator wall there that needs to be painted gloss black as well. Now you can go ahead and paint the lower radiator hose a flat black and glue that to the radiator. Now glue the radiator to the assembly to the chassis and paint the washer bottle flat white with a black bracket and cap, and install that on the inner fender. Now paint the upper radiator hose flat black and glue that in place between the engine and the radiator. Paint the sway bar 38 and the steering linkage 37 steel, and then paint the front suspension a gloss black. Now paint the springs flat black with some steel highlights and glue all the pieces into place. By the way, if you need more definition, the instructions are at the back at the end of the review. And now we'll turn our attention to the body. And you see highlighted here with the black Sharpie some parting lines that need to be addressed. Go ahead and sand those smooth and just make sure you don't diminish the lines there that define that body. After priming and sanding a light gray, go ahead and place the body and hood into a position on your stand to give it a color coat. And I used what's called a one-shot brand, bright red L104. Now the hood should be painted off the body separately, and the part of the scoop is over the cowl, that's why. Now paint the body and the hood together to make sure that the colors match. At the rear of the passenger compartment, there's a small strip of upholstery indicated by the red arrow there. Go ahead and paint that semi-gloss black up by the rear deck. At this point, we'll do a test fit of the interior to the body, then locate the gluing points first, and then scrape any of the paint off where you're going to glue that to each other. Go ahead and glue that into position, and you can at this time you can add the decals to the body, and you may want to use some setting solution for the larger decals here to make sure they fit to the contours of the body. So here are the hubcaps. They're a nice rendition of the wheel covers for this model. And we're going to, before we assemble the wheel backs, the wheel faces, and the tires, we're going to paint the front of the wheels a dark silver, and then wipe off the fins and the outer rings. Now the small hub rings should be left chrome. The wheel fronts and the backs then can be pressed in separately as the tires are solid. So go ahead and assemble those, making sure you remove any chrome or paint where you're going to glue them together. Once these are assembled, you can add some of the red stripe decals to the rims there, or the tires, to give it an authentic 60s look. Now add the wheels to the spindles and hubs there. You can press them into position and either leave them so that they spin or glue them into place like I do. Now that we have a rolling chassis, we can attach the body to the completed chassis. So once again, you'll have to locate any gluing points if you want this locked into position, and then go ahead and scrape the paint and glue that into place right now. Paint the lower section of the side pipe moldings, that's part number 70 of flat black, leaving the upper strip as chrome, and then glue that to the lower area of the body. And now paint the side pipes steel color and glue the exhaust tips, those are 109 and 10, to the ends of the side pipes. Now glue the side pipes into place. Now add the side pipe covers into place. Those are the cooling vents. Locate the grill and then clean up any attachment points, and then use a black wash to highlight the chrome ribs by painting the insets there. Now black wash is basically 50-50 a mix of paint and thinner. Now scrape the chrome off the glue points and glue that into place, and then glue the turn signal housings and the lenses in place and paint the lens amber. Now glue the front bumper 71 into place and the license plate, which could be optional. Let's move around to the back end, and we'll paint the backup light area on the body a silver color, then glue the lens into place and the tail light lenses to the tail light housings. Now keep the housings on the tree until you're ready to glue them into the body so that they look the same, but they're actually all different, so you need to pay attention to where they are on the tree to help keep them separate. Paint the center of the gas lid a body color and leave the emblem and the outer ring chrome. Now glue the rear bumpers into place. Test fit the bumper supports, and then those are gloss black. Once they're dry, scrape any paint from the gluing surface and glue them into position. Using some white glue or crystal clear, glue the windshield to the frame, and then glue the rear view mirror to the frame and glue the whole assembly onto the body. Now scrape the chrome from the mounting points and add the wipers to the body, and then the door handles and the side view mirrors likewise into place, and paint the sun visors semi-gloss black and glue those into place. Now glue the vent windows and the vent window frames to the frames there, and then glue that assembly into place too. Up type flat black, and after that dries, glue the rear window into the top with some clear glue or some white glue. You can just either set the up top into place, or you can glue it on permanently. This is a single purpose build, so you won't have any parts left, except for some decals to match colors that you didn't use. Well, there you have it. Your model is done. And what a great looking model it is. Just like the original car, it's got some gorgeous lines and great appointments. Those red line tires really match the red color of the car, and they were pretty much a 1 or 2 year phenomenon, but they really made the appearance pop. Now, if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. We hope you liked this step-by-step model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking on the icon in the lower right hand of any of our reviews, or you can find us on Facebook or our website, rightonreplicas.com. Thanks.